Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fond du Lac Area Women's Fund's virtual series Project Table Talk. I'm Maria Turner, the Executive Director for the Women's Fund, and I'm joined today by co-facilitator Kyle Jefferson, a member of our Board of Directors, along with our guests today, Pete Snyder of Moraine Park Technical College and Chris Ward of the Fond du Lac Dock Spiders. Today, we'll be taking a look at phase 2 of the Fond du Lac Says No More initiative, engaging men and boys in ending violence against women and children. We actually began this phase in early 2020 when we joined with Pete to facilitate what was to be a series of men's focus groups to get information specifically from local men on varying ages on their perspectives of power-based violence. We worked with Pete to develop a series of questions that would not only garner some demographic and experiential details from local men, but we more importantly wanted their knowledge of and exposure to domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse neglect issues. We also wanted to know what ideas men had for reducing and eventually ending violence against women and children throughout Fond du Lac County. We were able to get one focus group completed in early March 2020, just before the pandemic shutdown. That group included several men in the 25 to 34 age category, of which Chris was one of the participants. I should note here that the groups were exclusively men, both as facilitators and participants, because we wanted the guys to feel as comfortable as possible sharing their perspectives with one another. So today we'll talk a little bit about the first focus group through the experiences of Pete and Chris and discuss our hopes for continuing this venture now that we're able to more safely meet in person again. So with that background, long-winded backstory here, Pete, let's talk a bit first about the first focus group. What are your recollections about the receptiveness of the group participants in tackling this topic?
Participants were very receptive to sharing their thoughts and also their experiences. We had participants giving examples of experiences with power-based violence in their extended family, and it was discussed within their immediate family. We also had participants share that in their experience, that was not something that was talked about intentionally in their families. So in these examples, I'd say we were very impressed with how participants engage in the discussion and how they shared very authentic examples of their experiences.
Yeah, thank you, Pete. Kind of piggyback on that, I kind of heard about it. Really excited to bring that back and understanding how the focus of helping men is just important as helping women and making sure that everyone is community saying no more to violence and different things and make sure we protect each other. Kind of with that being said, going to Chris. Chris, I know you were one of the participants in the group. Tell us why you agreed to take part in this efforts and why was participating something that you want to do personally?
Yeah, I think you kind of touched base on it. It's very unique, just to kind of have a room of peers. Two of those people were pretty close friends too, and they shared some experiences that I never probably would have known unless I was taking part in this peer group. So I thought it was a great perspective and kind of just everything you hear in sports too as well. It's kind of a hot button issue with domestic violence and things like that. So that's kind of the two big reasons I want to take part in it.
Yeah, I think you make a great point, Chris. One of the reasons we invited you as representative of one of the local sports teams here is within that sphere, there's a lot of times some negativity associated with what the players are doing. So to have you take part, that's just, really amazing to have that sort of partnership going, which we'll get into a little bit more what that partnership looks like right now with the Dock Spiders. But first, Pete, certainly when conducting a focus group, the development of the questions and the way they are asked, as well as the comfort level of the group participants, is critical in getting information from, to draw the conclusions. Tell us a bit about how you worked with the Women's Fund Community Education Committee to develop the group questions and also what some of those questions were.
Yeah, we met a few times, and the goal really was to create an environment of not judging or shaming, which would really hinder the responses. But the goal was more to listen and learn. We asked some warm-up questions, such as the rating on a scale of 0 to 5. how much power-based violence they had observed and how big of a problem they felt it is in our community. Then we asked some questions about what factors impact committing power-based violence, and what keeps bystanders or observers from stepping in and to stopping, activities when they happen. And then we also asked what types of messaging that males might be receptive to in addressing power-based violence. We asked if they had ever been taught about not committing power-based violence, if there's ever a time where they were, within their family or someone, actually specifically talked to them about that. And finally, what we asked was, we asked when they're, we asked what they were willing to do to themselves to help reduce or end power-based violence in our community.
Yeah, thank you, Pete. I think that's important, right? To have questions to be able to tie back to make people feel comfortable. I know for myself, just thinking about everything that's going on with domestic violence around the world, to be able to have a safe space to be able to communicate and have no judgment, I think is important, just not for women, but for men also. I think that's a huge win for the community. I think that's something that we can continue to build off on as we go on this journey, as I would say, past COVID and getting back to the things that people need, which is ears. Sometimes we need ears to be able to listen and not big judgment, but able to be a support mechanism for them to be more comfortable to share more things that they felt in their community, and go from there. I mean, kind of that what's been said. So Chris, I know that the Women's Fund, Fond du Lac, has the Say No More initiative. It has been one built on various community partnerships, including the Dock Spider, which is huge. Thank you very much for that. That's very important to us in the community. It's a great partnership, not only because the Women's Fund is able to reach a larger segment, but it's also be able to reach the community in different ways and be able to reach. We use sports, as we say, to reach a lot of different avenues, which make things important. Tell us about the partnership between the Dock Spiders and the Women's Fund, and thought of the impact of the message related to athletes, men and boys.
Yeah, so obviously we have a lot of boys that play, college-aged guys. So we have a program ad, which I got one here. So we've done that for a few years, and we actually have the pocket schedule too. So really good pieces, and obviously we're handing out these pocket schedules everywhere in the community to get the word out there. Programs are in-house, so people that come here, pick up a program, can see that ad. This year we did commercials and then fireworks as well. So kind of kept it a little bit of a fun side of things, and voiced the concern of the Green Dot Initiative and everything else that Women Funds does during that fireworks game. And then the commercial, we had Maria write up a script for that, and it turned out really nice, I think, and got some coaches and players involved so they could kind of pass along the torch with that message as well.
Yeah, I think adding that commercial on for the games is kind of a critical thing. We took a look at sort of the stereotypical, hit like a girl phrase that has been something that is thrown out in sports for probably since the beginning of time, basically, and so just kind of challenging that, thinking a little bit that it's not even cool to use language that is derogatory in a way that makes women appear weaker in some way, and men feel bad about supporting women, right? And so I think that was really a great addition to what we've been doing over the last couple of years with the program and the fireworks and things like that. So we're just really, really appreciative of that partnership and moving forward with that. Pete, one of the things we recognize among the leadership of the Women's Fund is that involvement of men is critical in helping us improve equity for women and girls, as well as create greater opportunities for everyone. We know that most men are not abusive, which, let me reiterate that most men are not abusive. I think that's important to state as a feminist agency. You know, sometimes there's a little bit of mistrust in thinking that we do not want to recognize the good men in the community, and that's not at all the case. What happens, though, is that I think the good guys often feel like they don't have a platform to speak from. And that's really what we're trying to do with this Men and Boys initiative. I think dads of daughters in particular seem to understand the importance of the work that we're doing as it directly impacts their children. And I know that, Pete, you're a dad of some daughters, a few. And when you think about what you want Fond du Lac County to look like for them as they grow older, what types of things do you hope for?
So I think this one, as a dad and a father, of daughters, I'd say, I like to, think globally and act locally. So one of the things I really strive to do is help with the confidence and independence of my own daughters, just, in their future, if there's experiencing relationships and things like that, that maybe aren't healthy. So I try really to really focus on that of as a male figure in my daughters' lives, of being inspiring in them confidence, independence. But another thing I would say is within our community, I think coaches, especially in some of the sports and athletic realms, really can play a role in that. I knew of a high school football coach that mentioned, especially for homecoming and that with his team, the importance of treating your dates well. Now, I know that's a little bit old fashioned, but I think the point there is that is making it something that gets talked about and being, doing healthy things, in relationships, and really mentioning, directly or indirectly, power-based violence things, of how to be aware of those situations and how to, teach that that's not appropriate. And I really think that, especially in sports and athletics, there's an opportunity. And what I would like to see is in a future where in other areas like that, that it's referenced, mentioned, and discussed, so that we can have conversations about that.
Yeah, thank you, Pete. Definitely. Get some key points. I got a daughter; she's 14, so I kind of get it. Just being a role model. But the biggest thing is, so I'm also a coach, right? So every year, I adopt about 20 to 30 young women from the ages of 14 to 18, and then you have those kids for 4 years, right? So you try to instill in them what you want, you instill in your daughter, right? Confidence, understanding that you are very important in this world, and you need to stand tall and walk high and do the right things just like anyone else. But I think the biggest part is, yes, you do need to mentor young women, right? Because they, just like a young man is, we mentor him in football, you mentor him in track and volleyball and other sports, is we want them to grow up and be very successful, right? The next doctors, the next politicians, the next athlete, if that's what they want to be. And just show them the love. I think that's the biggest thing as men, is we have to continue to show these young ladies that we love them unconditionally. We're not here to abuse them. We're not here to make them feel like they're not worthy of being here in this world. We're here to uplift them. And that's probably one of the most best things I ever given back in my short time on this earth, is to give back the knowledge and understanding that the little things like teaching a young man how to say, hey, open the door for a young woman, or being very polite to her and showing her how she should be treated in a very positive way, is something that goes a long way, not just in the dad book, but also just in the community, because other people will see that. So that's pretty important. And that's something that I'm glad you said, because that's something that I will continue to do as long as I'm standing here on this earth and can be a coach. But that moves over to Chris. So as the women funds move forward with the remaining focus with the men, what would you say you guys in the community are about getting involved with the perspective?
Yeah, I'd say when I was reached out to be a part of the focus group, definitely something new to me. I don't think I've been a part of a focus group since like college, especially on this topic like that. Never even heard. So it was a great initiative to start it there. jumped in. And again, like I said earlier, there was a few friends in there, which kind of helped ease the comfortability of it all. And, there was probably 7 or 8 of us, and wrote down some answers. And then all of a sudden, once one person kind of got a little bit deeper for an answer, the rest of us kind of opened up, which I think was really cool, considering I knew a few of them, but there was several people in there that I had never met before. So trying to get things rolling that way and everyone kind of starting to open up and really talk about the issues at hand was absolutely awesome. And a lot of people mentioned the green dot training as well, which I know like a few of us were talking about signing up for after, and obviously COVID kind of shut some things down and kind of put it on the back burner. But, I heard a lot of great things about those trainings, and definitely looking to be a part of those once I can kind of find some time after the season here.
Yeah, I think when I looked over the report that Pete put together for that first focus group, one thing in particular struck me with some of the feedback that you gentlemen gave to us, specifically in the realm of sort of this idea, like, how cool is this that we as guys are being able to get together and talk about this in sort of a safe space, right? Because I don't think that as a society, we open up too many spaces for men to do that, right? For men to be vulnerable, for men to talk about topics that historically it's not the type of topic that you're going to be sitting around over beers with buddies discussing, right? But what was cool about that feedback that came after that was you seem to enjoy that community and that ability to bond as men and talk about a very deep topic, a topic that needs to have input by everyone for it to truly be solved. I mean, this isn't a woman's issue solely. We talk about allies and, people that get it. And I felt like all of you men that were a part of that got it. There were limited experiences, not everybody had been exposed, which I'm thankful for. But everyone seemed to have this interest in wanting to fix the problem. And that's really why we started this phase 2, is to really just engage as many people as we possibly can to strategize on how do we look at this issue, how do we engage as many people as we possibly can, and how do we at some point just fix this, right? Because it's not acceptable. Violence against anyone is not acceptable. And so for me, when I looked at the findings of that first focus group, I came away with so much hope and so much like, way to go, you guys, like I was like so happy to see that you understood it. So I'm really hopeful for the next steps of where these focus groups will go. We've divided them up in various age groups. Like I said, we started with the 24 to 35-year-old. We will have one group younger than that, 18 to 23, and then several groups older than that. So if you're watching this, whether you have a spouse, a partner, or you are a man watching this, I encourage you to reach out to us if you want to be a part of that, those future focus groups, because we're really looking for as much involvement as we possibly can. You can email me at fdlawomensfund@gmail.com, fdlawomensfund@gmail.com, if you're interested in being part of those future ones. And definitely just stay in tune, because I think, the focus groups are one step, but once we get that information, we're going to be taking steps after that, that'll be broader and asking more men to be involved in the solution of solving violence against women and children here in Fond du Lac County. So I'm excited about that. And with that, does anybody have anything else they wanted to add to the conversation here today? No.
Just thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for joining in, your perspectives, the time that you committed to this particular initiative. Very appreciative. So with that, we're ending another episode of Project Table Talk. I want to thank Chris and Pete and my co-facilitator Kyle again. And we will look forward to being back here at 1 p.m. The fourth week in August, the fourth Thursday in August. And we hope to bring you some information about the partnership between Solutions Center and the Fond du Lac Humane Society, working to ensure that women who have pets and may be afraid to leave abusive homes because of that have an outlet to be able to do that. So we're looking forward to that and appreciate everything that you all are doing to help us in our mission to facilitate bold change for women and girls here in Fond du Lac County. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.